Hi guys, this is my review on Wither by Lauren Stefano. I'm going to do a separate rant video on this book, but I'll try and review it as quickly as I can. My camera is a bastard and I have to make these videos short. So this is a dystopian novel set at least 100 years down the line, and we have science seemingly has perfected the gene pool, and suddenly we've eradicated disease and cancer and viruses and all sorts of illness so people can have long, healthy, happy lives, and that is the first generation of these newborns, and you know, things are top-notch and yay for science, and then all of a sudden, for some inexplicable reason, the children of the first generation and their children are dying off. For, you know, no one knows why, and it's some new form of virus that has sprung out of this this scientific discovery and these advances. And females are dying off at age 20, males at age 25. This has encouraged all sorts of terrible things within society. You know, society in terms of its structure is just a flippin' mess. And there's a criminal movement in terms of kidnapping the gatherers, as they call it, like to kidnap attractive young women to sell off into wealthy families in particular to be involved in polygamous marriages, so that more of them can get going on procreating and birthing, you know, more kids, new generation, especially to feed into science so that the research can keep going into finding an antidote now to this virus that's occurring. So, yeah, society is just a flippin' messed up, messy mess, and things are not nice, and it's not a future I would ever want to be involved in. And we have our protagonist, Ryan. She's 16. She's kidnapped and taken away from her brother, her twin brother, in New York. And her and two other young women, Cecily, who is 13, and Jenna, who is 18, are sold off and set to marry this young man named Lyndon. He is 20, so he has 5 more years of life left in him, and the girls have differing years to live. And so yeah, now they're getting forced into this marriage with this stranger, and it's not pleasant at all, and I could not at any point throughout the novel justify what had gone on, and, you know, be sympathetic to anyone, to the plight of Lyndon. And I've spent the entire time questioning the wider landscape of this society and how it was structured and what was going on, and there were just so many open-ended questions for me and things not explained, so I couldn't find it a plausible society. I couldn't envision it really, because things just seemed so absurd and extreme to me, and I just didn't know why certain things were happening and how they could be allowed to happen. The polygamous marriage aspect, which I know is a big thing and it's going to be ranted about in my rant video, why that is occurring and why it's necessary in a society like that, and why there wouldn't be young women who would just, you know, be voluntarily saying, look, I want to keep the human race going, and I'm happy to, you know, to have babies with someone I like and know. Why this forced marriage bullshit's going on is beyond me. And then why, you know, I think I'd be one of the pro-naturalism people who'd be like, screw it, don't have children, it's redundant and cruel, and it's just making the matter worse. Why do we want kids born into this shit of a society? And, you know, I couldn't understand why anyone would be encouraging of this at all, because it's just making matters worse to me. And it's a cruel thing to do. It's like, you know, it's a death sentence for everybody involved, so I didn't, anyway, and also the fact that, of course, it's just North America that's left on the map. I think that has to be bullshit, surely. I think that's a lie, because that makes no sense at all. It's just incredibly convenient. Everything felt like a really contrived plot device. So it felt like watching an episode of Doctor Who where the science fiction doesn't make sense, so you say, oh, well, you know, it's just there to justify what's going on in the plot. So the whole thing felt that way in Wither. The characters, I couldn't relate to really anybody. Ryan's our protagonist, and you're sympathetic to them because of the terrible situation they're in, but Ryan, her dialogue and her internal monologues in particular were incredibly repetitive. So she just, you know, you could be sympathetic, but then she hammers her point home so many times and just gets tired and dull, and you stop caring. Also, I didn't feel she was ever fully fleshed out, so I didn't really know who she was. She didn't have much of a personality. I felt like what personality she had was just her wanting to get home to her brother, and she says it so many times, and I get it. I got it from the first time you said it, girl. Cecily was a painful character because in some ways she's very tragic. It's really sad, and I'll rant about that later, because she's so young and she's impressionable and naive and in this situation, and she's wanting to have these children, and she's excited to be in this, you know, luxurious mansion and to be married to this wealthy young man, and she wants to be a mother, and it's really, really upsetting to read about. The only character I cared for really was Jenna, because she was more actively angry and pissed off and resentful and bitter about this whole thing, so I could relate to her a lot more, but I'm going to rant on a bit of her character as well later. Lyndon, I can rant about him for days. I know we're meant to be sympathetic to him, we're probably meant to think he's sweet and innocent and he's naive and, oh, he's so caring and fragile, and I hated him. Yeah, I did. His father, Vaughn, who was a first-generation guy, who was the stereotypical villain of the piece, he was just such a cardboard cutout bad guy. I was bored with him. I didn't care. So, character-wise, I just really struggled with things. The whole world that was being painted, this dystopian society, I just couldn't get a grasp on. And then there were issues, moral issues, that were really offending me. So, I'll rant on those later. So, I don't enjoy dystopians as a rule, but it wasn't a book that I liked either, so I'm going to have to give it 2.5 stars out of 5 for Wither by Lauren DeStefano.